I'm Lindsay, a PR consultant from Scotland. I help my clients get featured in the media, be guests on podcasts, and speak on stages. And in this video, I'm going to share how to find podcasts to be a guest on. Hello and welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I am going to talk about how to find podcasts to be a guest on. Everyone wants to be a guest on podcasts these days, but how do we actually find the right opportunities? How do we find podcasts that are a good fit for us and the things that we want to talk about? So I'm going to dive into that in a little while. It's Monday morning. Always start my vlogs on a Monday morning, vlogs I should say. And do you know what? It's only about 10:30 in the morning. I am already having one of those weeks, days I guess, that makes you wonder why you bother. And it's kind of like a bit of a hangover from the end of last week where I'm waiting for people to get back to me on things. I'm waiting for people to pay me. I am feeling just a little bit frustrated, slightly undervalued at times, and I don't know what it is. I don't know. I felt quite anxious and like just stressed over the weekend about work stuff, which I don't normally do, but I think today is just a hangover from that as well, and just wanting to get a few things sorted. Do you know, sometimes you just wish that people would sort of act with a little bit more consideration, but of course they don't, because people are people, and people are fabulous in many, many ways, and I'm lucky I've got lovely, great, incredible people around me and part of my life. Very lucky from that point of view. But people are also very, very annoying at times, let's face it. So I'm kind of having one of those days where I'm just like, "Urgh." But anyway, there we go. That is just life, and we'll carry on. It's sunny outside. I'm getting my work done. I have done a few hours of work already, writing a blog. I have been just drafting a press release that I need to send over to somebody for approval. I've been catching up on a couple of emails that came in over the weekend, trying to arrange a couple of things for clients, sending clients things that have like opportunities that have come in. So got plenty done. I've got a call with a client shortly, like just a catch-up call, and then I have got a content creation call, which I'm quite looking forward to because I need to get some social media content sorted out. I'm a bit behind on it. And then I've got a call with my business partner on Storm Safe Crisis Communications this afternoon. So then once all that's done, once all my work's done, I will be going out in the sun, hopefully for a little walk or a little seat or something, just to soak up the sun and try and take a big deep breath and unwind. Sorry to start this vlog on a bit of a frustrated note, but it will get better, and stick around because just now I'm about to show you and talk about how to find podcasts to be a guest on, which should be super helpful. Okay, so let's talk about how to find podcasts that you can be a guest on. So there's a few things, and this is literally what I do for my clients every single day, is basically research and hunt down podcasts that they would make a great guest for, and then I pitch out to those podcasts. And sometimes we win, sometimes we don't, but usually if you do it enough times, you get some nice results and you get some nice guest appearances, and you can do the same as well. There's a few different ways that I do this, and that is what I'm going to talk about today. And they're all tried and tested. Basically, I know that these work because I've used them all myself. So the first one is basically like an old-fashioned search, an internet search, and it's more searching on the platforms that you get your podcasts on. And the way that I do it is when I get a client or when I'm working on behalf of a client, I will list down all the topics that they can talk about with knowledge, with expertise, with experience, things that they're comfortable in sharing. And I will then use that list of topics as basically search terms on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, even Google you can do as well. and I'll just search. So for example, if I had a client who was a parenting expert, I would be searching parenting, I would be searching families, kids, children, motherhood, any different terms that I can think of that will likely throw up podcasts that could be a good fit. So that's how I use the topics that my clients can talk about as search terms. And by doing that, you end up getting a big list of podcasts on that platform, whatever it is. I usually use Apple. And from there, you can just sift through them. You can go into them, see how consistent they are. Are they still up and running? Have a listen, see if you think your client would be, or you would be, a good fit for that particular style of conversation. And you can do a little bit of research on the host and that sort of thing. So that is way number one. Basically thinking of all the things that you can talk about and using them as search terms on the podcast platforms or online, on YouTube as well, because obviously a lot of podcasts are now video based as well. And you can basically come up with a list of podcasts to look at, basically assess whether they're a good fit, and then pitch out to. So the second thing that I do to help my clients find podcasts that are a great fit for them is searching social media platforms, but not necessarily like proactively searching, but just keeping an eye out constantly for people who've appeared on podcasts that maybe is a new podcast to me, or one that's got a new series, people announcing new podcasts or the start of new series, your competitors maybe, like what podcasts have they been on? And once you start sort of tapping into these things, and I take tons of screen grabs, so every time I'm on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, even whatever it might be, if I see somebody mentioning that they've been on a podcast, or that they're starting a podcast, or that they're working on a podcast in some way, I'll screen grab it, and then every couple of days I'll go through my screen grabs and just like research them, find out a bit more about them and see if they're a good fit, because everyone's sharing tons of things about podcasts on social media. So you almost train your brain to spot it, and every time obviously you click in to find out a bit more info on a particular post, the algorithm starts serving you up more of these types of things. So that is a great way just to get intel on podcasts that are out there that you haven't heard of, new ones that have just started, new series that have just started, or maybe they've even just, it's a podcast that but they've decided to change the style or the type of guest that they have, and actually where it might not have been a good fit for you before, now it is. And this is how you just keep your ear to the ground through social media, and that is honestly how I get a lot of opportunities for my clients. So there's a good tip there. And the third way you can find podcasts is basically, it's a bit like media. There's Facebook groups out there that bring podcasts, like hosts or producers, together with podcast guests. So where if you're a podcast host, you can go into one of these groups and say, I'm looking for guests that can talk about this and that. If you're a wannabe guest, you can go in and you can say, I've got expertise in this. Does anyone want me to, be a guest on their podcast? So there's Facebook groups that you can do for that. There's also different platforms, and there's one in particular that probably springs to mind called Quoted, which is spelled Quoted. And it primarily was a platform that shared media requests from journalists. So it was journalists saying that they were looking for a specific type of story or contributor, but more and more it's also podcast hosts that are going on there, and they're requesting guests for specific podcasts, different types of guests, different like guests that have got knowledge and experience in specific things. So that can be a really good way to just basically pitch and say, my client, or I would say my client, you can just say, I would be a great fit for this because, and so many times you get a yes, because you're speaking to someone who's got an open door. They are looking for podcast guests, and if you happen to pop up and be a good fit, you'll be in for sure. Whereas with some of the other ways that I've been talking about, you're pitching sort of almost cold, and it can still work, but you're probably more likely to get more no's that way than you are if it's actually somebody who's got a podcast and they're proactively seeking guests through one of these platforms. So definitely recommend that. Another pro tip, actually, which is a bit of a hack, is a lot of podcasts have guest application forms. And a little bit of a trick is if you Google podcast guest application forms and then add on your subject matter, so like podcast guest application form, wellness, well-being, health, business, finances, parenting, whatever it might be, if you just add on your topic to that little phrase, then Google can quite often just serve you up a whole load of website links straight to guest application forms for podcasts with those themes. So that's a little tip that might help as well. And I guess the final way that you can find more podcasts to appear on as a guest is by getting someone to help you. And, you know, someone like me, a PR consultant who does that as their job, could be a huge help for you. I've got my clients on tons and tons of podcasts that they probably otherwise would never have found. And again, that in itself then leads to more opportunities in different ways. But obviously, not every business, not every individual can afford a PR consultant doing it for them. Now, this is probably where actually a new tool that I have created would come in very, very handy. It is called the Kickstart tool. And basically, for the price of a couple of takeaways, like £97, you can put in all your information about the things you can talk about, the experience you've got into this tool, and it will generate lists of podcasts that are hopefully a good fit for you and the things that you want to talk about, and then it will also generate a pitch for you. So it's kind of the closest thing you can get to having me there with you doing it for you without me being able to actually be there with you to do it for you. The tool does it, the tool that I've trained, the tool that I have, I tell you what, gone through many iterations of, can do it all for you based on everything that I've taught it over my 25 years of PR and media experience. So you might want to check that out in the description. The link is there. And yeah, it's just a good place to at least get a kickstart, like it says in the name, you know, to get some podcasts on the list that you can start pitching out to and get you started, because that's probably the hardest bit, is actually where to start, what to do. So yeah, that's where the Kickstart kit comes in. And that is the ways that I basically use every single day to generate ideas for different podcasts that my guests can appear on and to find ones that are a good fit for them. So if I can do it, you can do it for sure. So one thing that I would probably add to what I just said is obviously you can use AI. I have kind of trained like an AI research assistant to look for the opportunities that I would look for using, you know, the criteria that I use, and I guess some of the stuff that I've just shared there. And, you know, it can be helpful up to a point, but what I would say is, like with everything with AI, you have to know what you want to get out of it first. You have to kind of know what you're looking for in order to know if it's actually delivered that. So I wouldn't rely solely on AI to find, you know, podcast opportunities for me, but it could be a good supplementary tool to use, you know, to support other activities that you're doing. And I guess one final thing is in person, you know, sort of collabing, networking, getting out and about and speaking to people can throw up podcast opportunities as well. For me, a lot of what I do is like online based research, although I am out and about as well in different sort of circles and business groups and that sort of thing. But I would say that most of the podcast opportunities I get from my clients come from a form of online research rather than in person. Oh, it's hot, I tell you. It is warm here, even in Scotland. It's Thursday lunchtime and just running a few errands. The schools went back today, so which is good because we get back to the routine, but at the same time it's a bit of a shame because I just don't think the school system is amazing for our kids, but it is what it is. Anyway, it's all good. Do you know what? This week has been quite frustrating, and I think that's actually how I started the video, and I wouldn't say it's got much better. We've had a couple of nice client wins though, working away on things, and yeah, just, do you know what would make my life and probably everyone's life a bit easier is if people could A, remember what they've said they'll do, and B, do what they've said they'll do. That is my biggest bugbear at the moment. Just the lack of following through on what you've said you'll do or what you've agreed to, you know. It's frustrating, and it causes a lot of frustration for one thing, but it also takes up a lot of time then when you're going backwards and forwards trying to remind people what was agreed in the first place. And then, yeah, it's just, I could do without it, to be honest, this week, but that's where we're up to. But this afternoon I've got a full clear afternoon of outreach for one particular client, so we'll make some good strides for that client this afternoon, which I'm looking forward to. So yeah, so far slightly frustrating week, but we can handle it, So I look like I'm just relaxing on the sofa on a Friday afternoon, and it's been quite a nice day actually, because I've not had any calls. I've just been able to just get on with the things that I need to get on with. I have been doing some admin. I've been pitching for a couple of different clients. I have been writing a magazine article for one client, writing a press release for a client. This afternoon I've got one more client that I'm gonna do some outreach for and just get really stuck into that, which I'm quite looking forward to. I was thinking about ideas earlier, and the only thing that makes me panic in a PR sense is if I feel like I'm running out of ideas, and it very rarely happens. And I guess that's kind of been the theme of this week. Like, we haven't had any major PR wins. We've got things moving forward. We've had a few yeses for podcasts and things like that. But the amount of ideas that I seem to have had this week that I've run past clients and, they're happy with, they're excited about. Even this morning, there's a client who I've been sort of pushing out to media with a couple of different angles, and they haven't quite landed. And this morning I just had just that moment of, why don't I try this? And it just felt like just a moment of inspiration. And of course, in this game, you get humbled just as quickly as you do something good. But those are the moments that I love. You know what it's like? It's like piecing together a jigsaw, like which bit fits with which bit. And that's what PR is all about. And at its essence, joining the dots, piecing the jigsaw together. And when you do something that feels like that, it feels great. But I hope you found it all helpful. As always, the whole point of, these videos is basically to hopefully give you something that you can take away and implement within your business when it comes to PR, publicity, getting your business in front of potential customers and a bigger audience. So hopefully we're helping to do that. And thank you for watching as always, and I shall see you again the next time.